Hello and welcome to News Desk. We are reaching you live from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. I am Imefono Kon. Former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Protai, has taken a firm stand against the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, following his verbal assault on a uniformed military officer. In a strongly worded statement, Protai described Wike's actions as a direct threat to national security and the integrity of the Nigerian armed forces. He warned that such conduct shows a lack of respect for constitutional order and could undermine military discipline and morale. The retired general insisted that Wike must publicly apologize to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as Commander-in-Chief to the armed forces and to the officer involved. Also reacting, former Aviation Minister Osita Chidoka said any officer in uniform represents the sovereignty of Nigeria, and disrespecting them diminishes the authority of the Republic. Meanwhile, political watchers believe President Bola Ahmed Tinubu may overlook the controversy, viewing Wike as a key ally ahead of the 2027 elections. Reactions have continued to trail the viral video of the altercation between Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, and a naval officer during an enforcement visit to a disputed land in Abuja. In this report, News Desk spoke to some residents of the FCT on the implication of the altercation on governance, respect for institutions, and the rule of law. The report.
On November 11, 2025, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Barrister Nyesom Wike, and his team visited a disputed plot of land in Abuja's Gaduwa district, said to be linked to a former Chief of Naval Staff as part of an enforcement exercise by the FCT administration. On getting to the site, he encountered resistance from military personnel who blocked access, insisting they had legal authority over the site. The minister, however, challenged the documents, alleging illegal development, and soon the verbal exchange escalated, with Wike using harsh language against the officer.
So what? You had a who? Than me.
So I'm an officer, I take to orders.
To order that you take illegal orders.
Three-star general.
Okay.
I can't say no. That means
you can never develop this property. I will not allow it.
No problem, sir.
I'm
only acting on my
orders.
orders.
If you want to kill everybody, kill everybody.
We will not kill
you. You cannot.
Sir. We will not. We will not kill anybody, sir.
You put yourself in trouble.
The incident has since generated reactions from various quarters. A coalition of military veterans, including a former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Protai, condemned Wike's conduct, saying public insult of a military officer is unacceptable and undermines institutional integrity, while demanding an apology to the armed forces. Meanwhile, some politicians, social media users, and critics of the military role argue the armed forces should not be used for land disputes or private interests. Aside social media, Nigerians on the street are also reacting to the controversy. In an interview with Clearview News Desk, many believe this clash highlights a deeper problem with authority, accountability, and overlapping powers.
And it just shows the same big man kind of behavior that you must do what I say. But the soldier was clearly obeying his orders and he wasn't going to move. And he was being insulted for doing his job. So I think for the Minister of Federal Capital, he should have done his due diligence before going there to flex. So he might be on the right side of the law, but without the full story from both sides. I think there was no need for that.
To me, my own opinion, I feel it's uncalled for. The military have their own core duties. I wonder where the military men are beginning to defend properties of personal individuals. They're expected to be there in the bushes fighting insurgency. We have an agency in Nigeria that is expected to be in charge of all this. And there are procedures. If the AMAC are enforcing whatever they're doing, and if an individual is not satisfied or is not in terms with their own doings, you can always seek for redress. But because you are a military officer, you carried gun and stopped a legitimate arm of government from carrying on their responsibility. To me, is abuse of power. So what if you are to be civilian?
In fact, the minister should have handled that case at least with diligence yesterday. Of a truth, if they were supposed to send his junior staff to that place, not the minister himself, at least he bring himself low yesterday, of a truth. Because that man he's speaking to is a senior officer in the Nigerian army. And that uniform that man is wearing a whole Nigeria uniform, representing the whole country. So the military is supposed to have brought himself low. What he did yesterday, of a truth, is not good.
They also called for resolution of disputes through proper channels, not confrontational public scenes.
And then there should be clear procedures. There should be clear procedure on how to do stuff. There must have been some communication to know what was going on and why they did that in front of the press to belittle a soldier that has sworn an oath to defend the nation. I think that was unacceptable for a minister of the state, of the country. He should have done better. And insulting the man like that, I don't think that was good character.
Next time I'll advise that military officer, if the authority are doing what you don't like, there are always channels to ask for redress, not for you to come and flex muzzle. It is wrong, and I'm sure the military authority will do something about it.
As a minister himself, since he says to put a call to the senior cadre, these ones will go on round table, sit down. Sir, okay, we have this. Where is the paper? What is this one? So that they would have a sit down together, watch all this and handle it in a matured way, not that way he did yesterday.
As investigation into the land dispute continues, the public is waiting to see how the federal government and military authorities will navigate the situation on ground in the interest of national peace and unity. Gloria Atta, reporting for Clearview News.
Similarly, Arise television journalist Rufai Oseni has joined the many voices commending the naval officer who confronted the Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike during a heated altercation in Abuja. The video of the clash, which has gone viral, shows the officer standing his ground while Wike engaged in a tense exchange over a disputed property. According to Oseni, in a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, the officer displayed remarkable composure and discipline despite the minister's provocative words. Describing the officer as a model of integrity, Oseni said officer deserves a national award. Calm, firm and collected, while Wike was busy behaving like a TikTok skit maker, adding that even when Wike called the officer a fool, the response, "I am not a fool, sir. I have integrity," completely shifted the tone of the argument. According to Oseni, that simple but powerful statement finished the argument and exposed the difference between wisdom and arrogance. Oseni further mocked Wike for resorting to age and status as a defense, quoting the minister saying, "You were in primary school when I graduated." He described it as a common tactic used when logic no longer works, comparing it to similar remarks once made by another politician, Dave Umahi. The Arise TV host praised the officer for remaining calm and maintaining control over his men, saying he exemplified true discipline and dignity. In that moment, Oseni said Wike went low and the officer went high. Power met principle. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Wade Shaibu, on Tuesday paid a visit to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, where he briefed the president on the current security situation across the country and the outcome of his recent operational visit to the Northwest region.
Speaking to State House correspondents after the closed-door meeting, the Army Chief said discussions with the President centered on the general security outlook of the nation, which he described as satisfactory within the period under review.
I just came to brief him on the outcome of my visit to the Northeast region and look at the other security situation across the country, which was satisfactory within this period.
Okay, so what should Nigerians expect aftermath of your visit?
Improved security across the country. Thank you very much.
Lieutenant General Wike Shuaibu, who assumed office as Chief of Army Staff on October 30, 2025, reiterated his commitment to strengthen professionalism within the Nigerian Army, improving troop welfare and deepening synergy among security agencies, while assuring Nigerians that ongoing military operations across conflict-prone areas will continue to yield results. He further said the armed forces intensify efforts to curb insurgency, banditry and other forms of insecurity threatening national stability.
The 2023 presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, Prince Adewale Adebayo, has urged President Bola Tinubu to, as a matter of urgency, use the bullets to end Nigeria's worsening security challenges or use his pen to resign. Adebayo made the remarks on Tuesday in Abuja at the 2025 National Electoral Reform Summit organized by the National Consultative Front and the Labour and Civil Society Front. News correspondent has the details.
Speaking on the sidelines of comments and threats by the U.S. President Donald Trump to carry out attacks in Nigeria in response to purported anti-Christian violence, Adebayo cautioned against turning the comment into a subject of religious contention, warning that such statements, if not properly managed, could deepen existing divisions within the country. He cautioned both past and present leaders of exploiting insecurity for personal gain, noting that decisive leadership could quickly address the country's security problems.
We should not be tempted to turn Trump into our own old debates. There is no solution that can come from Trump or anybody that want to help only one section of the country to survive insecurity without helping the other section. It is not possible. Even the Pope cannot do it. To come and rescue Christians in Nigeria and not rescue Muslims or rescue other people. So we must not use the Trump intervention as a basis to litigate our hatred for each other or our old grievances. It should not become a Christian, Muslim, whatever debate. It is an insecurity question. So it is clear that President Tinubu is in the long line of presidents who have turned against the people and used insecurity to siphon money. So it is good that justice is coming to him now, because he was one of those embassies that went to Barack Obama to cry that Goodluck Jonathan was killing the people. Now a judgment has come to the house of Tinubu. So in Nigeria, the question of whether there is genocide or not is not a debate that the government can be discussing. If your people are losing their lives in dozens, you already failed the primary assignment of governance, and we should not waste our time debating the issue. The solution to that problem is that President Tinubu can use the bullet to kill the terrorists or use the pen to resign.
Reacting to alleged selective arrest of politicians in Nigeria, the former Rivers State Governor and ex-Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, urged Nigerians to elect leaders who can be held accountable for their actions. Former Senator Shehu Sani also echoed calls for greater political responsibility and fairness in governance.
So I wish you well. I've told you, this gathering will not be enough. Talking whatever they want to say here is, for me, will not achieve the objective. What will achieve the objective is when we all citizens gather and say, enough is what? Enough. If you don't say it, this is not the first time I've been saying it to. Nobody here will say, this man only talks when he's out of government. I was governor when I say, if you don't steal us, if you don't steal politicians, they will continue to steal, because the system does not stop them. The only politicians they arrest are politicians who are against the government in power. If you are with government and you are stealing, it will be chopping, nothing will happen. But if you are not in government, you're not supporting government, they will catch you for chopping previously. And that you must vomit it. Unless you say, I support you, it's okay, you can keep what you have stolen. So ceases action is necessary. Don't wait for those people who say they are wanting. I've said about NS, I've talked about ASU, I've talked about NAS. They are no longer in existence. They now carry talks. Didn't you watch NAS election? They had talks. They had vehicles. I wish you luck. I thank you for gathering, but the outcome of this discussion will not cause electoral reform.
Delivering the keynote address, former Minister of Education Dr. Obi Ezekwesili highlighted the limitations of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in prosecuting electoral offences.
We do need to strengthen the result collation procedures. Clearer guidelines and oversight mechanisms for collation at ward, local government and state levels would reduce disputes and manipulation opportunities. These may seem like very normal points, but I have to tell you that a certain friend of mine, a globally respected economist, Professor Joe Stiglitz, won his Nobel Prize for the simplest observation of what clarity of information does to ensure effectiveness and efficiency of outcomes.
The summit, themed Critical Constitutional Amendments for Credible Elections in 2027, brought together policymakers, civil society leaders, and electoral experts to discuss reforms aimed at strengthening Nigeria's democratic institutions and ensuring credible polls in 2027.
There is a growing concern in the Super Eagles camp as Nigeria's senior men's team boycotted their training in Rabat, Morocco, just days before their crucial World Cup qualifier against Gabon. Reports said the players refused to train on Tuesday in protest over unpaid bonuses and allowances. A top team official confirmed the development, though the Nigeria Football Federation has yet to issue an official statement. The team's training camp opened on Monday, with 23 players already in camp, including Victor Osimhen, Wilfred Ndidi, Alex Nwobi, and Samuel Chukwueze. Only goalkeeper Maduka Okoye is yet to join the squad. The protest comes ahead of Thursday's 2026 FIFA World Cup Africa qualifier, raising fears it could disrupt the Eagles' preparation. Fans are now urging the NFF to step in quickly and restore calm before kick-off. And that's the news. You can follow up on latest events and happenings around you via social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube at Clearview News Desk, or via handle on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Clearview Online. Many thanks for watching. I am Imefonu Kun.